Hello, welcome to my survival world. I have kept up with this a couple times on my channel, but I just recently reached 1,000 hours playing in this world, and I felt like I needed to do a full world tour just to commemorate that little achievement. So, over here is the first little house I built when I started this world a few years ago. And much of this has been stripped down from when I used to use this house. It had a storage system over here. And then I moved the storage system to this house because I needed a lot more space, but I've totally abandoned this little area. And over here, I have my little creeper farm that I still use. I have an AFK platform up there. And this whole world just started at this island, and I didn't know where I was really going. So I started building a little city with some random builds here and there, not really focusing on the size or cohesion much. And that's part of this world. I've started to add more themes to different islands. I've been working on a more cohesive city island, which is what this island was becoming to be at one point. And I built all these roads and all the cars and more buildings. I've been wanting to do that more cohesively with a new island. And some things really don't fit in with that city theme, like this big end city I just decided to build at one point. And up here, I actually brought in some shulkers from the end. And since they have that duplication mechanic, I have a lot more than I ever would need. They're not very friendly. And I do have some little buildings with some little themes down here. This one's more magical, it has all my allays in here. And I'm also really proud of this little cafe build. I've been really working with diagonal building a lot in this world. And I've been making little front storefronts like this, not at just flat angles, doing little diagonals and stuff. And I also built this big mansion, which was very fun. And of course, I don't do any of the interiors usually, but there's there's rubbed up games right there. And over on this side of the island, I do have some these little beach houses all built at a 45-degree angle from the normal. And I found these pretty fun to build, and that's where I really fell in love with some of the diagonal building. And I also put some more city elements, and it gets more city-like at this island, and you'll see that bridge later. I also have this little bakery, which is one of the only buildings that have some interior. Also built a little grocery store. Then there's a little clinic right here. And I also needed a big building to house an iron farm in, so I built this giant clock tower, but nothing special. And also integrated some some train systems with this island in the next one I'll show. And I had fun with these custom trees, but they're very exhausting to build. So I came up with some better ideas for custom trees later. And then all this was Mushroom Island before. I have a whole series of Mushroom Islands on this map. And all of it was terraformed, so this mountain right here is just completely hollow. And I filled this one up with some little farms that I used at the beginning. Then over here we have this big bridge, which I'm very proud of, built on a diagonal too. Up here is also a giant castle. I'll start to work with gradients. And also built this wizard tower up here. It has the little beacon beam going through it. And this whole world I have right here is a bunch of mushroom islands. And I plan on terraforming more of them as I go on. I only have about 3 terraformed at the moment. But we can go on to the much more cohesive city island over this way. And I did start around here. It's like, this is where my building started progressing. Got a little gas station. Experimented with some more custom trees. Had some fun with these buildings. And then from the other island, you see the little tunnels coming out of the trains. I've built the full train system and roads for this entire island, but I haven't finished building all the buildings so far. And I have little bus stops everywhere too. And on the last island, I had a lot of foxes. On this one, I have a lot of bunnies. Oops, sorry. They get stuck everywhere. They're not very fun to play, not very fun to have around. And then I started building some of this stuff. Experimenting with a lot of colors a lot more in this area. I even decided to go with coral for some of this. It's hard to work with too, because you have to keep water next to it. And then this is one of the buildings I don't think will ever have an interior. I also did some wacky build palettes, the raw gold and glazed terracotta. We're under a little bridge here. And a little shop front right there. Just a bunch of nice buildings that I had fun building. And this one I'm really proud of. I love this color palette and build palette. This turned out really well from a lot of my others. This is revisiting an old build palette I did on an old survival world. And then I also have some little crossing bars for the train, which is about to pass as it's coming through right there. It's going to come into this little train station right here. Felt like doing a little more modern, like integrating like new and old with this city. There's a little train bridge over here. That's like the little reception area. Then get the little platform right here. I had a lot of fun with this building too. I also had some parking garages around. Some more modern stuff like that little apartment building right there. And then this is like a little school too. And then also cherrywood got added while I was working on this, so that's a little cherry house. More coral, used as like a little flower decoration. I thought that was fun, on top of waterlogged slabs so they don't die. I can go up here where there's a little road cut off. Splits up here. I have this very abstract, weird design for a building. Still don't know what I was doing with that. Then a more traditional skyscraper. Also, I decided to add one of those like very weird government buildings that has all the windows tinted out. Not much, and very concrete facade. Not much going on there. And then we could go through this tunnel, through this one mountain, and get to another little city area. And this is one of the best areas I went with my building. But it's a little hard to see from the ground because, like, I've built these little streets so narrow, you can't get a great view of some of these builds. That's the biggest problem with this area. There's also a little path right there that goes to a little house in the woods. Had fun with this build palette. The bamboo and green glazed terracotta goes well together. I really got into glazed terracotta in this area. Little ice cream cart. I had this little fountain of the stained glass. I just had a lot of fun building a lot of this, and then I started working with copper, and that was added. Also, a little more gradient builds right here. I kind of strayed away from a lot of these gradient builds, like that one and that one. Like this one turned out pretty odd, but I feel like it works. It got dirt in the textures. I can take a little flight over this little city area. It's only right here. It's a pretty small, compact little area. And also did an interesting thing with the terraforming in this cliff. adding like different rock layers. And about that cabin little path, it separates off to here. And I wanted to have every little island connected, so I can walk on this little lake for the sailboat, which is a nice little build too. All the way to my lighthouse, which I had had a lot of fun building. And decided to use the mushroom blocks because it looks like it has some chip paint. Then over here I get into another little bit, which is going to merge into the big downtown area over here. Here's a train station right here. Honeycomb house, which is very interesting. Has some nice skylights in it. And then also sniffers are added, so I was using these plants a lot. Have a nice little pier there. Then a little sports area right there. The tennis courts and the soccer. And then this is a more refined version of that mansion from earlier. A lot more detailed, better build palette in my opinion. A lot of fun building that, and it has a nice custom tree right there. I was kind of trying to integrate a bunch of weird blocks like this dead coral. I do like this little courtyard. And all these little water puddles are around here. And these are meant for using my Riptide Trident to get around. And I can view this little area more from above. Just more of these nice little builds. More train tunnels. Then in between this little city part and this part, there's a little farming valley right here. There's some houses and greenhouses and farms. And then this is where all the sniffers are, right here. And this is the only thing I've used the layers for, really, is just collecting all these little seeds they give me. Which I have way too many of at this point. And I didn't really get into this city. It's like right across from there. Little part of the city. There's the train bridge. And then we have some housing and apartments right there for a city. I had some fun with some of these little builds too. There's a little bakery. Thought that was a nice little build. And also, in this area, I have the airport right here. I had fun with that little plane, little parking garage, then the little terminals. It's very small, but that was like only to encapsulate the Guardian farm, which I have down here. Because this is all ocean, I terraformed that. And then this is all ocean too, and I decided to just build a little foresty area because felt like I needed that to bounce some of this out. And again on the roads, I finished all the roads for this area, and I have some trees and stuff everywhere else. And cherry trees were added, so I liked adding a bunch of those everywhere too. And about these custom trees, I decided to use a easier technique to have like really tall, good-looking trees, which I just had some dark oak saplings. So I put dark oaks on top of each other with moss in the center, and then added some leaves on top to give these really interesting custom trees. And then over here is my most recent project, which is downtown. I've been having a lot of fun with this, and that's my new base right there, which I recently moved into. And that's like the little Capitol building. And it's one of the only buildings that has like a very thorough interior design. So I might as well go through that. I have like some potion rooms, the enchanting setup. And then all these rooms are separated too. I haven't done anything back here though. You can go up these staircases. Nice little designs all throughout here. Make it look ornate and old. Then over here is my storage system, which is now up in this area. And I have all these little things sorted out into categories and all into shulker boxes. So I've been having a lot of fun with some of these downtown buildings. I've been straying away from more of the diagonal buildings over there. I feel like I really proved some of my creative efforts. I feel like I need to get a little bit more into that in the future. But I have gotten to some of it with some of those buildings down there. And over here's my new villager setup. I have all these farms in here too. I also started simplifying some of my build palettes with this huge orange skyscraper. Just going with more modern design. And also still going with some of the old ornate stuff. To give like this history, how things were demolished, put back up, new plots renovated, old buildings stayed. That's the first big skyscraper I built. And I decided it was not tall enough, so I built this one. Which also is on a diagonal, too. Because I wanted to still have some of that. And this is probably one of my best builds in the city. I had fun with this building, too. So yeah, this is probably the tallest I'm gonna go. And this is also one of these older styled skyscrapers right here, with the end stone and prismarine dome on top. Also, I built a little park behind the Capitol right here, with these custom birch trees, which I saw somewhere online. Thought these were very nice. Little parking lot, too. And over here is supposed to be a future train station. And then I had fun with this train bridge, too. I have so many future plans for continuing this world. And also back to wanting to have everything connected together. I have this little path which I have planning to have between like an alleyway, very out of the way. Because this kind of goes out of the aesthetic of the city and goes into a more fantasy island over this way. And then this is the fantasy island, which I'm working on right here. Inspired by an old game I used to play. I had fun with this. And also did some very interesting terraforming of the nether grass. And then there's like a little bell tower right there. And since you can't spawn on a mushroom island, I have my world spawn across this giant bridge over this way. This one's the biggest bridge I've done. And then I have my spawn temple here, which is, even though it's world spawn, it's a very recent build in the world too. It was just another portal out in the open for forever. This entire thing is like open to the air. Another dome structure. And then I also have more details about the world here. So, if you're wondering how I got all the mushroom islands, here's how. So the world was a composite of 5 seeds. So I used these 5 seeds. So I loaded one of them, pruned the chunks from it. I think this is the original seed. So I pruned chunks, loaded this seed, loaded those chunks for that mushroom island, then that one, then that one, then that one. Then reverted to this seed, so I have this one as my main seed. Just so I had a bunch of future-proof plans. So that's also when the world started, March 14th, 2022. And over here I have my full world map. There's the world spawn. And then there's the Warped Root Island right there. This is like Business Island. That's my main base right there. Airport. Little cities right there. And then there's the Starter Island, which is just dubbed Random Island, Little Mushroom Island, the Lighthouse. And then there's also a Christmas Island, which I will show in a minute. So I also want to show off the Nether hub, which is, and there's signs pointing you in all the directions. Just grab a boat. So I have all the colors for all the directions. Then that was my old hub over there, and this is my new main hub, or my new main base. This fox has been in here for months. I might as well show off the last island, which is the Christmas island right here. I actually built this last Christmas break, and I went all out with this giant Christmas tree, giant presents, and I even have a stained glass barrier to keep it nice and dark down here. I have all these snow layers. And then this is also one of my interior builds right here. So I decided to do a full interior on this house since it's supposed to be cozy for the holiday season. And then the snow is like a carpet. That's the main thing I needed to show. And as I have all the islands connected, I had big sleigh shooting down a present with this glass trail, pulling me back up. There's Fox Santa right there in this, driving the sleigh. And I could walk across here. Then I have these glass trails with these stars at different angles for decoration. And then the end rod's hanging down like a little glitter. And then this, you can walk across this whole thing all the way back to the main island that I'm building on right now. All the way there. So that's about it for this world, all I've done so far in this world. I plan on continuing this project for a long time. Been slowly chipping away at it for the past 2 years. Having a lot of fun. Hopefully I see this city finished, and then I can finally work on my other mushroom islands out in the peripheries, the ones I haven't even started terraforming yet. I have like 3 big ones I still need to work on. That's about it.